Do you think life is simpler as time evolves? For some, it can be more complicated when facing issues about health, estate plans, probate, long-term care, and more. Welcome to another episode of ElderTalk. I'm Jill Enders, and today we're talking about fitness, particularly senior fitness, and just how important it is as we get older because we tend to lose muscle tone, and that can be detrimental to our health, especially if there's a fall. That can be catastrophic. So we have an expert, a fitness expert that is, from the Jewish Community Center right here in the St. Louis area, none other than Jo Fountain, and she's going to talk to us about senior fitness. Jo, thank you so much for coming on the Elder Talk show.
My pleasure. It's nice to be here.
And I want to talk a little bit about your background. So how long have you been doing this?
Well, it depends on where you start. I started off in ballet at a very, very young age, moved from that to the next natural progression.
I love it.
So I went from ballet to karate, and then I went from karate to bodybuilding. I was getting my black belt at the same time I was competing in bodybuilding, and then I've graduated to Argentine tango. So I've always been incredibly active.
You're versatile, is what you are.
Yes.
You're versatile. So what about when it pertains to seniors? It appears that you have a real passion for senior fitness.
Well, part of it is I am very quickly becoming one. And, as I feel the changes happening in my body, because I've been incredibly active. So I started off way ahead of the game because I've always been very fit. So I reached a point where I hit 55 and went, gee, I should start working out now, because I already was. But when I start feeling the changes in my own body, when I'm going down a flight of steps and I just don't trust my knees like I used to, when I go to turn and things don't feel quite right. The particularly noticeable one is when you're sitting in a lovely restaurant and you have dinner and then you're working on the after dinner and you're thinking about what you're going to have for dessert and you want to run to the ladies' room.
Right.
And you walk away like this.
I love it.
For so long.
Yes.
And, so I have little strategies for getting up out of chairs in restaurants without looking like you're 99 before you get to the restroom. So there's so many things in terms of seniors. I have clients that just now in their 70s decided I should start working out. And it is so much harder to start then because you've got so many things you have to catch up with. Often your knees, your hips, and your balance, you've got orthotics. And before all that stuff happens, it's really good to start training early. My son is 28, and I said, honey, when you're 25, get into a gym and start training. Even if you just do something light, make sure that you've got something you can keep up with because you're going to be so much better off when you get older.
Very good advice from Mom. And it is so important because, as I said earlier, if you have a fall, it could be catastrophic. How many times, Jo, have we heard of people, they broke a hip, next thing you know, they end up in a nursing home.
Or they die.
Well, sure, that too.
And, the problem with falls, and that was one of your questions that I really wanted to address, because it's terrifying. I fell down my basement stairs 2 years ago, and, I'm really agile. I bounced downstairs, and now I don't do that anymore. So I know that once you fall, and I banged up my shins, but I wasn't hurt. But once you fall, that fear, that hesitance changes your confidence. When your confidence changes, if I hesitate to do something, then I'm not going to be balanced and ready. So I'm already putting myself at a disadvantage. I'm afraid. So one of the things that, working out does is gives you your confidence back. It gives you the ability to go, I can step to the side without falling down. I can take a step back. If I slip on the ice, I can catch my balance. And so there's so many little pieces that, because you made an excellent point. Once you fall, especially the older you are, you're changed. And, I had a client who fell recently and broke her shoulder. She's in her late 80s. She's not going to come back from that easily. She'll never be what she was before.
Right.
Whereas if you're 20 and you break something, it's, you have a bunch of people sign your cast and then, 6 months later, you don't even remember the scar,
Right.
So, when you get older, the stakes are so much higher and the risks are so much higher.
And I do notice the older we get, it is more difficult to get out of a chair. And I've noticed that with particularly people in their 70s? Sometimes they need that help. But if you're working out and staying fit, it's not as much of a challenge.
Absolutely.
And I wanted to ask you, say you are that person that's 70 years old, just starting out, maybe obese, or you have arthritis, some other health issues. It's still not too late. There are exercises you can do starting out, in baby steps.
Yes, absolutely. I have a little refrigerator thing I give to all of my clients. It's called bite size. So you stick it on your fridge because it's bite size. Because everybody has 2 minutes. You're walking through your kitchen and you're like, I have 2 minutes. Oh, I can do this. I can do a couple things. So bite size is just little 2-minute bursts of things that you can do. So, what I tell my clients that have a hard time scheduling a workout, it's like, when we're in our 20s, we can go into the gym and tear that place up for an hour and a half.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah. When you're a little older, it's not like depositing $100 in your piggy bank. You do nickels and dimes and nickels and dimes. So you do a little here, you do a little there. The point is to do it consistently every day. Every day, do a little something, whether it's a couple of chair squats or, do something, walk. When it's terrible outside, I had clients, especially during the lockdown, they would, make paces in their house. They'd have ways they walk through their house just to get that little bit of exercise in.
Yeah, make a game out of it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. And then I have so in the morning, because balance is really a big deal, when you're brushing your teeth, because everybody does this twice a day. So you may as well turn it into something valuable. So in the morning, when you brush your teeth, you're going to use your right hand and stand on your left foot.
Oh.
And then in the evening, you're going to use your left hand and stand on your right foot.
I like that. Well, I have a confession. You know what I've done when I've been curling my hair? I would march in place with each curl.
Excellent.
So.
Yeah, it's huge. Just keeping your body moving. And that little series of things I do when I'm getting ready to go to the ladies' room in a restaurant and I don't want to, or even if I'm sitting watching TV, I get up out of the chair and you'd never guess I was a trainer. You'd think I was a 900-year-old, And I've got a chair here. So if you're sitting there and you're having a nice dinner and everything's great and you're like, I need to stand up sometime soon. So what you do is you start by scooting to the edge of your chair and sitting up straight.
Okay.
One of my favorite exercises, so we're going to combine an exercise here. So if I'm going to get up from the table, I'm just going to start picking up my knees a little bit, straighten my legs out, turn my ankles around, just so the blood's flowing and I've got something I can move with. And then by the time I stand up, everything's working. My back is already straight. I'm not hunched over. The exercise for that is, and this is excellent if you have back problems, but you need to work your core. You sit up nice and straight and line up your ear, shoulder, and hip. Cross your hands across your chest, suck in your tummy, and then just pick up your knee and set it down. Pick up your knee and set it down. This works your abs and your core without damaging your back. And it's great for seniors because they can sit there and they can do 10 of them while you're having a cup of coffee and you just worked out a little bit.
Or even watching TV.
Yes, absolutely. Watching TV. As seniors, we wear different shoes and we have all these orthotics, and so we lose contact with the ground. And then when your feet, it's just like any other muscle in your body, when it atrophies, it's harder to move. So when seniors don't use their feet a lot, they walk kind of like this, and you don't pick your toes up. Well, when you don't pick your toes up, you fall over them.
Okay.
So one of the things I suggest that seniors do is grab a towel and put it on the floor and just squish it around with your feet. So try to bunch that towel up with your toes. Just scrunch the towel up with your toes and then switch feet and scrunch the towel with your other toes. And what it does is it works the muscles in your feet and keeps them flexible, which really makes a difference.
Very good idea. And what about, when you're picking up groceries and we're always told to use our legs when we're picking up anything heavy, so we don't hurt our back. Do you have a particular exercise that teaches that?
Yeah, and whenever you're picking up, so usually when you're picking up something like groceries, you're not picking them directly up off the ground. And the problem with groceries that I find is when you've got your car and the cart, it's this and this and this and this. It's the twist that gets you. It's not the weight. It's picking something up and then turning with it incorrectly. So the rule always is posture. One of my favorite sayings is that young people have long fronts and short backs, and old people have short fronts and long backs. So the minute that I do this and my tummy compresses, then my balance goes forward. Now my center of gravity is forward, so I'm gonna fall down. So the very first thing is posture. Stand up straight, line up your ear, your shoulder, and your hip, and keep all of this engaged. When I work with clients on balance and getting them to actually incorporate that into their bodies, one thing I ask them to do is tilt your pelvis just an eighth of an inch, just a teeny bit. And what that does is it causes your abdomen to actually engage. So now you've got your core engaged without even having to suck in your tummy. You just tilt your pelvis a little bit, and now everything here is nice as engaged. So when you move as one whole piece instead of a series of mismatched things.
Joe, what about someone with osteoporosis and they're hunched over anyway? How do you get them to straighten up?
Oh, you were talking about all of my clients. Yeah, this is very much my wheelhouse. And one of the things you'd asked for is a client that had, or like a success story. I had a gentleman, and still work with him, who had just balance issues. His wife had just passed away. It's just, and he was older and everything was just a little off. It didn't feel right. And his posture was atrocious. So he was just down like this, which means so now his neck is a mess. So the solution to this is let's first get some muscles going here so that you
in your
have
tummy.
Something to help you stand up, right? Because osteopenia and osteoporosis are, of course, where your bones get weak. And whenever you work your muscles, so your muscles attach to your bone with a tendon. So when I work that muscle, it pulls that tendon, which pulls on the bone. And whenever that happens, it's like it's working the bone. And so the bone actually adds more tissue. So that's how you're working your muscles helps your bones actually become stronger. So for people with osteoporosis and osteopenia, often one of the biggest problems in that age, in that particular group is the back. And so an exercise like this, where you're sitting up straight and you're moving like this, that's incredibly useful for that sort of thing. And then I'm going to show you one on the ground. I think you can see me down here.
Okay.
This one.
Look how easily you get on the ground. You are in shape.
So my back is really flat. And what I'm going to do is push my back into the ground and push my tummy into my back. And I'm just going to keep my right leg bent. I'm going to pick my left leg up a little bit. And I'm just going to extend and come back up. Extend and come back up. Extend and come back up. And what this does is it works your core without compromising your back, because your back is pressed down into the ground, and that one leg working works your core, and it works it asymmetrically, so it's even more of an advantage than just doing them both at the same time. And that's one of the things that I work with all of my seniors, whether they have osteopenia and osteoporosis or not, just to get their core involved, and then we can work on the back muscles. So it's really important whenever you're working, you want to work on the tummy and on the back when you're working on posture. When this happens, part of it is because the muscles back here are gone. So we work on some muscles.
And can you rebuild those?
We can rebuild those with a couple of dumbbells or cans of soup or bottles of water or whatever you've got at hand. So you bend over like this, your chin is up, arms down like this, and just row. Just back like that.
That seems easy enough.
Yeah, very easy. Yeah, the funny thing is that they're all very easy to do. The thing is doing them. And I think the thing that a lot of times, especially seniors, are not sure of is they're just not quite sure how to do things. They're afraid they're going to get hurt. That's why it's really great to, get into a group class or get a trainer. And, until you understand, one of my guys I work with for about 8 weeks, and then he's got what he wants to work on, and he goes and does his own thing, and then he comes up with something new, and he wants to work on balance, and we do another 8 weeks. So, it's really important, though, to just, stay in a routine and keep after it, because it really makes a difference. The older you get, the longer you take a break, the harder it is to come back.
What about just taking a walk? What would you recommend as far as the distance you should go when you're first starting out?
I would pick a surface. Always start with your surface, because if you're taking a walk and you're wanting to walk for fitness, and you're trying to walk on a bumpy sidewalk or something where you really have to pay a lot of attention to what you're stepping on,
Right.
you're not going to get the same kind of workout that you would if you came, for instance, here and you went around the track a bunch of times. So I always say start off with what you're comfortable with. Start off slow and do, so for example, if they're doing the track here, make one lap and see how you feel tomorrow. And if you're okay, well, then do another one. But start slow and build up, because a lot of times people remember what they used to do. And I think probably the greatest incidence of injury that I hear of is people gardening.
Oh, right.
I mean, it's gardening, for crying out loud. It's a flower.
Yeah.
How heavy is a flower? But then you're carrying and you're digging and you're doing and you're moving and you're crunching and you're standing and you're on weird surfaces. And I've had people cancel appointments because they trashed their bodies gardening.
Well, and too, if you're going to be doing something like digging, you want to make sure your heart's in good shape, because
Absolutely.
you could easily have a heart attack.
Yeah. So if you've been diagnosed with anything questionable, always check with your doctor. I'm in really good shape. So I go to my annual once a year thing, and I don't ask doctors if I can work out because I'm a trainer. I tell them I can do that. But if you've had a heart attack or you have any issues, always check with your provider before you engage in, some type of a physical activity. And there are clients that I have that I ask them to bring a note from their doctor.
Sure.
Simply because if they had a stroke or Parkinson's or a recent hip replacement or something like that, I want to know that they're actually cleared to train, and also know how to train them.
Joe, I want to ask you about technology. Do your senior clients embrace technology, such as using a Fitbit?
Oh, I am the guru on Apple Watch, Fitbit, and telephones, because they all come to me. They use them not nearly as much as my 28-year-old son, who uses an Apple Watch for what it's actually used for.
Right.
I have a lot of seniors who will track their steps. I'm particularly fond of my watch because I like to track sleep. I noticed as I was getting older, my sleep got a little wonky, and it's like, that's not good. So let's get that sorted out. They either fall into one camp or another. It's either this is a good idea or no.
But it is nice to track and see how many steps you've taken every day.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it motivates people.
Yeah, I think the struggle comes in with eyesight. I know that I have to put on my cheaters to see what really is happening there.
Right.
And so, a lot of times people, especially if it's close to that cusp of I can't see, I can't hear, I can't walk, you kind of want to look like you can for a little bit longer,
And what about with the holidays approaching? Do you have a lot of your clients that say, okay, I'm going to take a break because Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, all of that's coming. I'm just too busy to work out. What do you say to them?
I say, would you skip brushing your teeth? Would you stop sleeping? Would you stop any of the normal everyday things that you do? In that case, don't stop training. Training should become very, very automatic. It should be, ever somebody says something about how do I work out? It's like, it's not an option. It's what I do. I brush my teeth, I eat so I don't die, I take sleep, I work out. And it becomes, if you just plug it into your life where this is what you do and this is the day that you do it, and it's not negotiable.
Right.
It's not a bad thing. A lot of times people look at training like, oh gosh, I've got to go do that. Find something fun. Find something that you enjoy. It may not be like as much fun as watching TV, but there are going to be things you'll enjoy a great deal more than others, and do those things.
And you can exercise, as we said before, when you watch TV. And I want to talk to you also about exercise bikes. My mother loved exercise bikes. She had one in the kitchen, and I can't tell you how many of those she went through. But it really worked for her. And it's funny because I hear people say, oh, I don't want to exercise bike because I'll just hang clothes or something on it. But it really is a good way to work out.
Oh, it's wonderful because it's there. And so, that's the biggest piece right there is that a lot of times, they can't leave. So if you're limited in where you can go, or if the weather's really terrible and, so we have a snowstorm or it's raining and you don't want to come, work out because it's yucky out.
Right.
The bike at home that's just, I've got a treadmill, an elliptical, and a gym at home. And so I know from personal experience that if I can't make it in here, I've got a place to work out.
Right.
And it does make a difference, just being consistent with it and, and not making it be a bad thing. To me, working out it's healthy. It's good for me. It means that I'm going to feel better when I do everything I do. And so I don't, would I feel good if I didn't brush my teeth? I wouldn't want to smile at anybody or talk. So I feel the same way about working out. It's like, it's maintenance, and it's important maintenance. It's not like I want to be cute maintenance. It's like, I don't want to fall down and die maintenance,
But why do you think so many people do dread it, especially say on a cold, wintry day, and all you want to do is curl up on the couch and watch a good movie? And you make
and eat bread.
and make
with soup.
and make excuses for not doing it.
Yeah.
But people do. They tend to dread it and think of it as, this major chore when it's something good for you, and you always feel better after you do work out.
Yeah. I don't know. I think part of it is just the culture of working out. It's definitely not as fun as sitting on the couch eating bread and ice cream. There are very few people that actually love to work out. I actually love to work out. I really, really enjoy doing that. So to me, it's never been a chore. There are a couple of exercises I prefer to others, but so it's never been like, oh, I've got to go to the gym. It's like, oh, I'm going to go to the gym.
Right.
And I think probably because I have such an immediate response to, oh, wow, I feel so much better. I know that I had a kidney infection about 6 years ago, which really nailed my health. Like, as lively as I am right now, I couldn't have walked to that wall and back without sitting down and taking a good half an hour sit.
Yeah, painful.
I was that weak. And it was alarming to be that weak and that off balance and that incapable of doing anything. I'm a 2nd degree black belt in karate. So I walked down the street and I'm not too worried, but I was terrified then because I couldn't do anything. I mean, if somebody had attacked me, I'd be like, here's my stuff, just don't hurt me.
Yeah.
Now it'd be like, boom, leave me alone, So, it just, as you get older, it's just so important to just really stay with it.
Gotcha. Well, before we wrap up, can you show us a few more moves?
Absolutely. So one of the things that I really, really love, and it's one of the most important ones incredibly important. We often go forward, we don't often go back, and we never go side to side. So when you hear about seniors falling over and breaking their hips, it's because we don't have stability this way. And we don't because we don't build the muscles. So one of my favorite exercises is basically just a side leg raise. The key to this is you want to keep your feet parallel to each other. So they're not going to go up like this. They stay parallel. My body isn't going to tilt. So I'm going to keep this axis, and all I'm going to do is raise my leg. 1, 2, 3.
While holding on to the chair.
Down. Other one. 1, 2, 3. And then you switch. Just do 5 of those on each side. If you're really cold, it's a good way to get warm because you warm up your glutes and it warms up your whole body. You asked about picking up groceries and what the safe way is to do that. Always start with light weights or no weights. And so if, I was recommending this to a senior, I think these are 3 pounds. You could do just a couple little water bottles or just nothing while you're getting used to the idea. And so what we're going to do is just, it's kind of a modified deadlift. So the key here is line up your shoulder and ear and hip. I said those out of order. So what we're going to do is just, the weights are down to the sides, chin up. I'm going to keep my back really straight. I'm just going to go forward a little ways, and I'm going to come right back up like that. Forward a little ways, right back up like that.
I can tell you were a ballerina by the way you move. Very graceful.
Thank you. Thank you. That's probably more Argentine tango than anything. I've been dancing for about 13 years now.
That's wonderful. Okay, well, I really appreciate you coming on the show, and we would love to have you back.
Oh, it'd be a pleasure. This has been so much fun.
Okay. Well, that's been another episode of Elder Talk. Take care. You've been listening to Elder Talk with TuckerAllen, providing intelligent answers for those thinking about their future, with attorney CPA Joe Cordell. Sponsored by TuckerAllen, your estate and elder law advisors. For more information, visit TuckerAllen.com. Listen again next Saturday for another edition of Elder Talk with TuckerAllen. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.